Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, October 20th, 2025. Fall is here. I woke up this morning, it was 46 degrees. I'm okay with that. It's a little chilly, but I knew it would warm up throughout the day, and it did. And so I'm okay with 46 degrees early in the morning. We all know that's the seasons, they're going to come and go, and that's just how it works. And it can always be worse, right? You can always be in my case, I don't want to be in a colder climate, but I could be. But I'm pretty happy where I am here in Georgia. The weather, it can get hot, but we have great spring and fall and winter. I have no complaints. I really don't. I haven't had to turn the heat on yet in the shop, which is a good thing. But fall is definitely here. Now, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to talk about tonight as I talk about things in the shop normally, and I'm not really doing much of anything out here that's productive as far as working on like the 68 Fastback or much else. I have been doing a variety of things, taking care of what I can around the house and different stuff. And there is something I will talk about in a little bit, and you can remind me if you want later on. But went to look at a car, and it's a car that I'm pretty interested in, and we're gonna discuss that in a little bit. But I do want to welcome everybody here. I don't know how long we'll go tonight. Usually the chat runs about an hour until my voice starts failing, and then I just call it quits. So if you have something you want to talk about tonight, by all means, I encourage you to be part of that. I like to talk about classic cars primarily, and my bracket of time is 55 to about 1980, and just about anything in between there I probably worked on because my dad had the junkyard growing up, and I've been around all these cars all my life. So again, I encourage you to do this. Now, I know in the last video that I was working on this car, I was working on the roll bar, and I still haven't done anything. You can see the roll bars sitting there. And the reason for that is I had a surgery on my hand. Now, if you'll notice, and I'm not trying to be offensive here, my middle finger is hooked, and it doesn't go straight unless I force it to go straight. So I had trigger finger surgery on my right hand. Well, as you can imagine, having a cut right here, you can see where the cut is, and having a cut in the middle of your palm, you're not going to be gripping much or swinging a hammer or whatever. So I have to be careful with what I'm doing. Now, they told me when I did this surgery, I guess, what was it, about 2 weeks ago, that keep it covered up and don't get it wet and whatever. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm not doing any of that, really. But I am taking care of it. I am trying to keep it clean and all that sort of thing. But tomorrow morning, 8:15, I go see the doc, and they're going to take the two stitches out. There's two stitches in that holding it together. It's healed over. It's solid. Got some scar tissue there. But again, I still can't make a fist. The finger doesn't want to close down, and I can't straighten it unless I force it straight. So I'm limited as to what I can do. So we can talk about a variety of subject matters tonight. Even when we talk about, I may talk about some TV shows that I've been watching, and maybe we can even talk about some movies and stuff like that. But again, I encourage you to be involved and be part of the chat tonight. So first in tonight is Rick Gain. It's only Monday, but it feels like it should be Friday. Looking forward to some relaxing car talk. Everybody hit the thumbs up button. Yes, by all means, do that. Thank you, Rick. Glad you're here. Dave Tyson. Evening all. Evening, Dave. First Dave sighting. TJ, hopefully your hand is doing good. Barry from the field of Mustang Dreams, East Elton, Georgia. Good evening, Barry and everyone in the live chat. Yeah, it's doing better, but it's not. I don't know when it's going to be 100%. Right now, it's probably 70%, 65%, something like that. Just not 100% yet. Might take a while. Jerry checking in from Money Pit. Good evening all from Middle Tennessee. I hope all things are going away, Barry. Click on a thumbs up for Barry. Yes, thank you. Glad you're here, Jerry. And Terry Keithley. Good evening, all. Or good fall evening, everyone. And Barry, please hit the thumbs up and like button for Barry, and praise for his mom, Terry, and Betty, and the cats. Thank you. Yes, I've been posting a little bit about what's going on with my mom, and you know, I'm not trying to focus on that in our conversations, but I'll just tell you that, you know, my mom has pancreatic cancer, and currently she's at home and she is not seeking more treatment. She is, you know, probably going to just live out her days at the house. So we have family members taking care of her. Probably going to have hospice come in and start helping out, and I'm going to have to, I don't know when just yet. I have to see how things are going, when I'm going to travel back to Pennsylvania to spend time with her. So, you know, I always say family comes first. All this other stuff can just wait, you know, and that's where we're at with that situation. So I'm okay with all that. She's made her decision, and I am fully content with that decision. There's no doubt in my mind that she's doing the right thing, because we all know that people get old, get cancer, you know, treatments, and it doesn't help them, or they suffer for a period of time, and then they end up passing away anyway. So I'm all with that on her decision to not take any chemo treatments or anything like that. So let's move on. Terry says, "Hey Jerry, go Buckeyes." So there you go. Hey Matco Man, hello everybody. Hope all is well. Glad you're here. Steve Reed, hello Barry and everyone. Hope everyone's doing well, and give Barry a thumbs up. Yes, thank you, Steve. Travis Holtman, good evening all. Hey Barry, looking forward to tonight's episode. He also says, it's starting to get cold here. Just bought a 10,000 watt heater for the garage. I want to get my car on all fours by the end of winter. Well, that's a good thing to do. And I think you can. Yeah, heat is always good. Rusty's Restoration, hello all, and Barry from Southern Indiana. Everyone give a thumbs up. Yes. By all means do that. It helps with the algorithm. Let's YouTube know that you're interested, and maybe somebody else will be too. Troy Justin, hey from Coastal Georgia. I hope everyone is having a good week so far. I'm just getting back on my 65, on the 65. Family issues took priority for a few weeks. Yeah, I know exactly how that is. You know, family issues and also my hand surgery, which it is what it is. Nandu, good evening, Barry and everyone. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Nandu. Likewise. Jerry says, howdy, Barry. Howdy, y'all. Robert and I are going to miss tonight, but we hope you all have a good car chat. Well, I understand, and I hope everything is going okay with y'all. And she also says something about some Buckeyes or something. Hey, Terry, go Buckeyes. Buckeyes. I don't know. Let's see. Roger, Hindsight 6'7", greetings next door. Greetings, Raj. C&J Hoyt, hello all. Going to be a short, I guess, evening as it's baseball night. Go Mariners. Oh, okay. So there's some baseball game on or something? I don't know. I don't keep up with baseball, but go Mariners, I guess. Vincent, I'm going to say Fatante. I think I said it before. I hope that's correct. Vincent Fatante, greetings from New Hampshire. I'm sure it's cool up that way. Welcome. David, the bowler hat guy. Hello all. Good evening, Barry. Good evening, David. That's like Dave 2, and this is Dave 3. Or Dave or David. Good evening. Watching a show making the Pennsylvania Miners' favorite dish for dinner, pasties? Pasties. Oh, wait a minute. He says, pronounced pasty? Pasty? That doesn't help me. I guess past E, not paste E. Okay, I don't know what that is. And I grew up around Pennsylvania Miners. So maybe it's Eastern Pennsylvania Miners? Because I don't know what that is. I'll have to look that up. But welcome, Dave. Pasties. I'm guessing. Pennsylvania miner's favorite dish for I don't know what that is. I'm sure I like it though. If the miners like it, I'm sure I like it. Jiggy, good evening. Please build that Falcon. It's possible. It is possible. And that's what I was going to talk about here in just a minute. Denny Alvey, hey Barry, miss y'all as I have been out west on a 3-week trip in the motorhome with my wife and granddaughter. Logged 3,000 miles with 0 issues. Well, that is a bonus. Prep is key. Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, I was here last week, but I wasn't here the week before. I was back home with my mom, who is unfortunately ill. David Wright, good evening to all. Barry, do you have a video on replacing the rear shock mount panel on a 68 coupe? Rear shock mount panel? I don't think I do, actually. So you're talking about that reinforcement piece that the shocks go into. I do not have a replacement video. However, if you look at my videos and you look at the video that I did for, I'm trying to think of the name now. I did help the guy out with his 68 Mustang convertible. I did a road trip earlier this year, I think it was. I don't even know. I think it was early this year. Maybe it was last year. Maybe it was fall of last year. Anyway, I went up to his place and I helped him clean out his garage, and then I helped him build his jig and start fabricating his 68 convertible. So I do show that piece being installed in the frame rails, but not like a replacement. That's an odd thing to replace, to be honest. I don't know, is it rusted out or is it damaged in some way? Because that's a heavy duty piece. So I know they sell it, and if you look at that video, maybe it'll give you some insight as to how it's attached. But it was it's either 67 or 68 convertible we did. I helped them out with it. And yeah, just take a look at that. So that's the only one I have that would probably have information on it, because I've never had to replace one of those unless I've replaced a whole assembly or something. So that's the best I can do. Good question though. But I know we showed it in that convertible video. Michael Peglerini, evening all. Evening, Michael. Doyle Walker, Barry, have you heard of putting 5 coats of clear on a base clear job? Seems excessive. How do you determine how much to have on hand? That is a good question. 5 coats is excessive. And I guess it depends a lot on what they're trying to get for an end result. So I've had conversations, because I've had paint issues in the past, and I've had conversations with several painters, my PPG rep who paints, and I was we talked about this, and they said 3 coats is all you need. Now, 3 coats allows for basically sanding off of 1 full coat, right? And depending on how it lays out, you may not have to do much. But if it lays out with a lot of orange peel and you want to get rid of that, you have room to do it. 5 coats seems a bit excessive unless you're doing like a SEMA show car, right? And there is the option of putting on, like, let's say 3 coats, right? And then you sand off and make it all super smooth again. And then you do what's called a flow coat, which is basically 1 more coat of clear that you don't intend to do anything with other than lay it down. That kind of works. I've had mixed results doing that sort of stuff. But I would say 5 coats is excessive. Now another scenario with that is, how thick are the coats? It's really tough to measure that. When I've talked to my PPG rep and we've discussed putting on multiple coats of clear, my mind may think that, you're moving at this pace, let's say, and you get X amount of clear coat. His mind might be that if you're moving at this pace, you get X amount of clear coat. So there's variables that come into play even as you apply it. So, but 5 just seems excessive unless they're moving really fast and just laying down a really super thin coat of clear, 5 seems pretty excessive to me. That's my answer. Good question, though. Thank you for that. Dave Conville, it's a handheld meat and potato pie that you wrap in foil and tie behind the acetylene helmet light to keep warm. Okay. Okay. That sounds. I would eat that. Yeah. I would eat that all day. I probably wouldn't do the light thing, but yeah, I get that. So it's kind of like a, I won't say like a burrito, empanada or something. Is there something called an empanada where it's made like that? I don't know. But that I would eat that. Yeah, sure. Rusty, you sent a couple pictures of 69 Cobra drifts from the car show. They were super nice. Cool. I'll look at those. And Troy just a question, since you have worked on convertible floor plans, I believe the floor pan has to go in before the inner rockers. It looks like the pan is welded to the bottom of the rockers. Am I correct? Yes. Now, when you say put the floor pan in first, I don't think that's the sequence. I think what happens is you put the inner rocker piece in, and then as you put in the floor pan, let me think here a second. I'll just look at this one real quick because the way they did it, the floor pan in the dynacorn one right here is the floor pan is sitting on top of the rear torque box and on top of the transition panel. What I think they probably did is as your, let's say you put in the inner rockers, and then you bring in the floor pan at an angle up. So you come on top of the torque boxes and then on top of the transition panel. And then you come up under the outer rocker panel. I don't know how you'd get the, if you put the pan in, you could do it, I guess, either way. As long as you have access to weld the inner rocker in place, you could probably do it either way, now that I think about it. And of course, they build these things on a jig, so they're going to assemble multiple pieces together, and they might be able to do it a different way than I'm even thinking. So I'm thinking of from like a repair process. Instead of, if I were to put in a new floor pan, how would I get it in there? And that answer to me is I would have to come up through and rotate it so it sits on top of the torque boxes, the transition panel, and tucks up under the rocker panels on the side. But now that I think you could do it either way, to be honest. But whatever works. Whatever works. Dave Conville, I'll send pics later. Yes, putting on your helmet is not a requirement. Okay, good. Denny Alvey, on a convertible shock mount, you will need to remove the rear seat divider. This requires planning and good measurements, as this is a major structure to the rear of the car. Yeah. Yeah, definitely want to address, make sure that's solid. So I have a, let me see if I can get these. Michael Pagliarini, I had to replace the rear shock mount. It was a PITA. You need to remove the gas tank, remove the gas tank drop off. Oh, the transition panel. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to swap, that's for sure. Not easy. So I'm gonna pull up a couple of pictures here that Denny has sent me. I want to say Denny. I hope I'm not wrong, because I'm kind of just winging it on this side of things. What the heck? It's not letting me. I tried to download some pictures earlier, and this thing was fighting me on it, and I don't understand why, because I deleted a bunch, and now it's wanting me to delete more. So Okay. So sorry, Rusty had sent me these pics. So sorry, Rusty. I was trying to get them up, and I just rambling. So Rusty has sent these pics of these Cobra jets. See, that's basically the exact, not the Cobra jet, but the Acapulco Blue. That's exactly what my dad had in '69, but it was not a Cobra jet, but it was the same exact wheels, paint. Oh, I take that back. It didn't have a wing on it, but it's the same color and all that stuff. And here's the other one. Oh, that's that. Isn't it that umber color? I think is what they call it. Interesting. That's a unique color. Very cool. Thank you for sending those. Yeah, Michael said that was a pain in the. Let's see. 67 Mustang Resto regarding the rear shock panel question. The tabs on that part are bent inward, so you have to cut into the frame rail to access them. To avoid that, just weld L angle shaped tabs on the outside. Okay. Yeah, normally when I replace something like that, kind of like the core support, it's got a weird kind of configuration to where panel pieces overlap and you have trouble getting into those pieces. So if I were to take that panel out, I would just start cutting around the perimeter of that panel to get to all those mount points so that I can grind off the tabs where it's welded to the frame rails and everywhere else. That's how I would approach it, because you think in your mind, oh, I'm going to remove this whole thing as an assembly. Yeah, if you're scrapping it, what's the difference? I would get out the plasma cutter, cut the perimeter of it, get the bulk of it out of the way, expose the inner tabs where they're attached to the frame rails or anywhere else, and grind those down to get rid of them. And then going back together, like you're saying, you could add angled brackets or something to repeat that process, but not have it up against the frame rail to where you can't weld it. So you may add those brackets to where they'll either go behind and you drill holes in the new piece to where you can weld to those, or you wrap it around in some form and make it overlap. So there's more than one way to do it for sure, but that's how typically I approach it. Is like, I'm just going to get rid of the bulk of the thing and then expose what my what I'm going to connect to, or what it's connected to. Dave Britton, that's like Dave number 5. Evening all, evening Dave. And he says, did the Mustang your dad have a shaker? No, it did not. His was a 351 Windsor 4-speed car, so it did not have the shaker, but it was the same color, same wheels, black interior, same deal. So yeah, pretty cool. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you about this because earlier we had a comment, I think it was Jiggy, said, build that Falcon. Okay. I probably made a deal on another car. I'm not going to show you much. I'm going to show you the car or anything, but I'm going to show you why I'm interested in it. And it came up. It was for sale, and the people selling it did not. I think they just went out of it, right? And I'll go into more details about this later on, if I can complete the deal and make everything happen. But they wanted to build basically this. And let me tell you, I really, really, really like that 63 Falcon, and it's like built like a race, like an old dirt track car, okay? And they were working on this project, and basically, we'll just say that the project came to an end. So I made contact with the people that own it, and have probably worked out a deal on getting that car. It's it just let me show you that again. I just have to show you that again. There's multiple reasons this appeals to me. One is the fact that it does look like a dirt track car, and it reminds me of the '65 Chevelle dirt track car that I raced and Roger helped me race, and I don't know. It just appeals to me in a sense because I don't know that I would want to make it like that one, like all painted and super pretty and everything like that, or if I'd want to make it look like sort of a patina race car, almost like it was raced somewhere and then turned into a street car. So there's been work done to this thing. There's some interesting things that I'll have to talk about later with this project, but it's just cool. I mean, look at this thing. And there's a video, if you looked up 63 Falcon street legal dirt track cars, what I Googled, and there's a video of that car going around like a Road Atlanta type of track or something. Really cool. Just I don't know. It just appeals to me in a weird way. But I'm working out the deal to try to get it and get it here. So, Dave Britton, if you ever found the exact same car as a project, would you want it? That's a good question, and I've struggled with this for a long time because there's quite the history behind that car and the intent of that car, and anyway, so the only one that I would want to do would be that actual car that my dad had. I wouldn't want to have a copy of it. I wouldn't want to clone it. I don't want to find one that is built the same way. If I could find the car that he owned, I would build that car. I would. But I have no idea where it's at. I have no idea. He sold it in I think 1984. I don't know what the guy's name was. I don't know where they lived. I don't know where it went. I have no clue. But I've looked for it. I've actually tried to search it out and tried to figure out where it went. I couldn't tell you. But if I found that car, yeah, I would put it back to exactly like it was when my dad had it. And just that would be it. So that, I do have my own Mach 1, the 69 that's on the lift, and I could clone that car if I wanted to, but that's not the same and it won't work. So that car is going to remain an automatic. I'm going to end up painting it probably lime gold instead of the new lime, as I talked about before. And it'll be a great looking car for sure. But yeah, that's what I would do. Dave Tyson, Gas Monkey Garage did one for Pikes Peak. Yeah. Yeah, I forget, what's the guy's name? I was going to bring that up because I remember it was Aaron, I think, was the real mechanic there. Aaron Kaufman. Yeah, thank you. Aaron Kaufman from Gas Monkey had a 63 Falcon. It was a road race car. It was really cool. Yes, exactly right, Aaron. So thank you, James. Hey! Thank you, James. So, yeah, that's kind of the idea that he had built one of those. And I remember seeing that years ago, and I'm like, that's a really cool looking car. What's interesting, too, is those Falcons, not that I've done a ton of research on them. Basically, you remember, they started off, that was the foundation for the Mustangs. We all know that. But they had a two-door, you could get them in two-door, you could get them in four-door station wagons. You could get them as a sedan, as a two-door post, or the hardtop. And then they made what that sloped roof, which is like a 63 and a half, which is what I really like. That's, to me, that's probably the coolest looking one they made. And then the 64, they carried that on. They kept that sloped roof, and they flattened out the sides a little more. But this one just, let me show you the picture one more time. I just love looking at this. It's got a roll bar in it. Yeah, I really do like that, and it's different. Now, don't get me wrong. I still want the Mustang. I still want to, get it done and drive it. But it's just it's just different. When was the last time you went to any car show and saw a hot rod 63 Falcon? I've seen some like 61, 62 convertibles and regular body looking ones, but this thing being cut up, it's I like it. TJ says, Barry, you know how to keep us in suspense. You will tell us later. Yeah, I will. Yeah, there's going to be some interesting stuff going on with this car. Now, I have to fully work out the details, and get it here. So that'll come. It'll take a little effort, but it'll show up. Dave Britton, we had a pickup version. It was nice. Well, that's okay. I get that. Yeah, the Ranchero, right? When you say the pickup version, so it was a Ranchero. And don't they call them back then too? I think, pretty sure. When you said that, I was thinking of cars my dad made into pickups. He used to take Chrysler station wagons and cut the roof off and turn them into a pickup truck. It worked. Terry Keithley, do you have a motor? That's going to be the interesting thing. This car comes with a motor, but it's not one that I would use. So in thinking of how if and when I get to build it, right, it would just be a small block. If I could wheel and deal and come up with maybe a 347 stroker or something, I probably would. And I don't know, if it's going to be an automatic. I assume it could be. It could be anything at this point, because if I treat it like a race car, right? If I treat it like I'm not restoring it. It's not going to be restored. So if I look at it from that angle, I've kind of got free will. I can do what I want with it and not feel bad. It's already been cut up, by the way. It's already been butchered. So I don't even feel bad. I don't even have to feel bad about it being butchered because I didn't do it. That's where the difficulty comes in. If I were to get a hold of one of these cars that was nice and straight, had all the, chrome and everything was right, I couldn't make myself cut out the wheel wells and do all that stuff. But because somebody else has already done it, I'm clean. I don't have to worry about it. It's all good. So there is you'll all have to wait and see what's going on with the engine thing, because it's an oddity, and but it's not something I would use, just not. So, and Dave Britton says, yeah, the pickup was a Ranchero. Yes. Here we go. Jeff's Train World. Hi everyone. Hi Jeff. Oh, and there's something else I want to bring up. Because I've been watching maybe a little more TV than I have been, because normally I don't watch much, but there's I think it's on the Tubi, TUBI channel, whatever, that shows a lot of like B movies and shows that were out a long time ago and stuff like that. And they have a show on there called I think it's called The Car That Ate My Brain. Okay. When I saw that, I'm like, what is that? Is that like a movie? And it's not. It's a show about a guy building a tea bucket. And it's kind of interesting. I never really looked at these T buckets as anything of interest. I mean, they're cool cars, they look fun, but I just never really got into that concept. But this guy had a vision where he had seen a car from the made in the, I was thinking it was made in the 50s or 60s or whatever, and it had done the show circuit. It had done, been modified for different changes in equipment on it, and it was called PewDiePie, right? PewDiePie, PEWDIE pie. I think originally they wanted to call it like Tweety Bird, and then they didn't like that because it would be a trademark thing. So he just kind of jokingly said it's PewDiePie. So it's a purple tea bucket made by some guy back in, like I said, in the 50s or 60s, and it's still around. The car still exists, and it's in somebody's collection. And this guy was like, in love with his car. So he is building this car to copy it, like as best as he can. He's replicating this car, and it's out in California, and he's getting help from all these hot rodders, and it's just this kind of cool show because it shows the camaraderie that they have, which is fantastic, and getting these pieces and parts together and how they make the frames and all that sort of thing. And I guess he's got a YouTube channel. Now I haven't looked him up. I've only been looking at that TV series, but the hot rodding aspect of it, I really like that, and how they're trading parts and helping each other build stuff. I really like that. We need to have more of that across the country with those of us that are doing this sort of thing. And I do my part. I try to put the information out, trying to help everybody out. Let's see, Michael. I had a 63 Sprint with a 264 speed black with red interior back in the late 80s. Yeah, that's kind of. Now, I don't want the 260, obviously. And I'm not sure if I may want the 4-speed. I don't know yet. But, yeah. And I don't know if the Sprint is the model that I'm talking about, meaning this roof line. I thought this was called a Futura. And then I saw somewhere online where it said the Futura was that car with bucket seats in it. So I don't know what the different versions are called. But that roof line is different on this car than it is on like the two-door sedan or the other variants out there. Jeff's Train World, glad to see you again. Well, I'm glad you're here. Rich Watley says, hi, everyone. Hi, Rich. And Jeff, have you ever heard of Mustang Restoration on Facebook and YouTube? Have I ever heard of, you mean like, is that the name? Is that the name of a Facebook or a YouTube channel or something? Because it doesn't ring a bell. So to speak. Just kidding. If that's what they're called, no, I don't think I've heard of them. Jeff, I had a 63 Plymouth Fury 3 with a 383 in it. That's pretty cool. Yep. The only Mopar that I've ever owned was the 67 Belvedere. And it was a GTX clone. Oh, okay. So Dave says, isn't that Wally's channel? Well, I know that his was, I know it was 68 Mustang Restoration or something along those lines is what Wally had. So I don't know if he's talking about that, and I don't know if he has a Facebook page. But I thought his channel was 68 Mustang Restoration. But it may be. It may be. I don't know. Because I haven't. Somebody else would have to look it up and find that out. I don't know. But I have not seen one just called Mustang Restoration. Jeff says it was a fast car. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anything. Had a 383 in it? Yeah, that would be a fast car. Yep. So, anyway, as I said before, I can't do much of anything right now with this project. I can't swing a hammer. I can't hang on to, I can't squeeze vice grips, with this hand surgery. That's too close to home right there when you try to grip something. So I'm not even doing any of that stuff. Just doing little stuff around the shop, take care of what I can, and try to keep things moving. I don't know if I'm gonna re-edit another video from the Brooklyn Pony series. I did get some feedback on that. I think people have liked seeing those because I just took a couple of videos that were in the sequence and put them together. And I know that the whole process of that car being built, I covered a lot of ground in that video series, and it got a lot of traction. It was really being watched a lot, and demonstrating how and why I try to do these things. It's kind of like, even I went back and I was watching those, and I realized that I had made like standoffs. Like if I were to make I'm trying to think how I want to label it. When I was putting the inner structure in that car, I had salvaged it out of the original car that was rusted to pieces. Before I took it out, I welded in tubing so that the width of that would not change, so that I knew that when it went back in, it was the exact same width as what it was when I came out. And then there was also places where the inner structure could move, or it could be pushed around, or it needed to be located, and I welded in pieces of pipe so that when I put pieces back together, I could just push it up against those pieces of pipe and weld it back in. So these are kind of things that I try to emphasize these ideas when I talk about test fitting, and then mocking things up. But there's ways you can incorporate even just standoffs, let's say. So like if you wanted to have something, as an example, I've had people talk about putting in a front frame rails or something, right? And they're at home, they have jack stands, and they're like, how do I do this? And I've demonstrated a variety of ways to do this, but what I tend to do is I try to think of what can I create that I have on hand, or what can I use? So in case you're putting in a frame rail and you've got it up on 4 jack stands, I build something to fit where that frame rail sits. You can make it out of wood. It doesn't have to be that technical. So you put build a structure that locates that frame rail, take the structure out of the way, cut the frame rail out, put the new one in, and put that structure back underneath like a little bridge, and locate it and weld it back in. So sometimes you just have to have a different perspective on how you do these things, or how you can create brackets or assemblies to help you with the process. Let's see. Oh, so Dave Britton says, yeah, you're right, Barry. It is 68 Mustang Restoration. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. But I haven't seen one just said Mustang Restoration, so I don't know. Michael says Sprint had a V8 and lots of chrome. I think it was a post car. Okay. Yeah, I guess I need to look that up a little bit just to see what the variables are. I don't know. Vincent, maybe it's time for another road trip. Really enjoyed the time you brought us along to Summit. Well, that's not a bad idea. That's something I could do. Just I could. Let me think about that. I could do something along those lines. Yeah, there's something I could come up with for that purpose. So who knows? Maybe I'll be able to do that. I don't know. That's a good idea. Thank you for that. As a filler for my videos, I get it. Hugh, unapologetic American. Welcome, Hugh. Glad you're here. TJ says, Barry, what about that Mach 1 in Pennsylvania, the Super Rare one? Was it a 428 or 429? Are you still working on closing that deal? Any update? That was a 69, a 70 428 Cobra Jet, non-shaker hood. So it was an odd kind of car. Black on black on black too. So it had black stripes on a black body with black interior, and it was a 428 Cobra Jet with a non-shaker hood. That's such an odd configuration in my mind. Like normally you don't see somebody order something black on black on black or whatever. You got some variable in there. And then I look at the idea of getting a 428. Why would you get it without the shaker hood? I would want it to have that shaker hood so people knew. Maybe he was just building a sleeper. I don't know. Or when they ordered it. But right now that project or that car is not for sale. After talking with the guy, and we sort of had a deal kind of going, and then he realized probably that it may be worth more for him to build the car than for him to sell the car, and that's up to him. So that one's not going to happen. So, and that's okay. I do get offers of not only people wanting me to work on their cars, but people wanting to sell their cars as well. And so most of them are not something I'd be interested in, or not something that I can justify the cost of. Because if I'm going to build something, I can't buy it with what they have invested in it. As we all know, you can definitely put money into any of these cars, and depending on what you want to do, that's fine. But sometimes people invest heavily in something that may not have a return, and if they want to sell it, I can't invest in it with what they have invested in it because it doesn't do me any good. So I have to go back and say, no, look, this is somewhere I'd be more comfortable, because for me to finish a project that somebody has started, I have to put in, parts and materials and time and all that sort of thing. So, but there's nothing out there right now that I'm interested in, other than currently this Falcon. Richard Vogel, good evening, Barry. Sorry I'm late. I'm cooking chicken cutlets. Well, that's appealing. Welcome. TJ Barry, come and see me at the Mustang Field of Dreams. I will cook you a steak. Oh, that's tempting. That's tempting. I know you're probably a couple hours away from me, but you never know. You never know. Yeah, I'll be having to make some road trip to close a deal on this Falcon, and so there's going to be some effort I'm going to have to make it all happen, but that's fine. That's fine. I think it's going to turn out to be it'll turn out to be a pretty good deal, I think, overall. And I don't want to put too much out there, once I get it in my hands and I can disclose what I have in mind, then it'll all make sense. It'll all make sense. So, but yeah, not a bad idea doing some sort of a road trip thing. I'd have to think of, Summit's not far from here. I don't know. I know I've had some people contact me that they know some people who have like a bunch of exotic cars, or like I forget where it was exactly. It might have been back in Pennsylvania. It might have been where some relatives or something were telling me about this guy who had like all kinds of rare Mustangs, like Shelbys and all kinds of stuff. But I don't know if I could go there and make video. It's one of those kind of things. Richard, did the Falcons get the dreaded cowl rot like the Mustangs? I'm sure they probably do. So that's something that needs to be looked at or maybe addressed. I don't know just yet. I have to do my own inspection process on it. But that's something to consider as well. And the challenge, of course, is, these Falcons, there are parts available, but not like Mustangs where you can buy everything and anything. So that's something else I need to look at is pieces and parts and where I might need to get some stuff to make it all go together. Hugh says, if you come to Northwest Ohio, I'll give you free room and board. My wife makes a mean meatloaf. You know what? I like meatloaf. I do. I really do. I like to eat. I do. I think we all do. But anyway, so that's really all I have for tonight. It's been kind of slow, and I'm getting stuff done where I can. But that's about it. Tomorrow morning I'll get up and head to the dock, like I said, and get these stitches out of my palm and see what they say for, like, I don't know if they're going to say anything about therapy or not. I don't know. I don't know yet. Terry Keithley, I have one question. Oh, wise and knowledgeable one. Where are you going to put it? Believe it or not, I think I have a space. But it's going to involve some shuffling. It'll involve some shuffling because there's a lot of pieces for this car, as everybody knows. And once I get a few more things taken care of in this area, I'm going to do a big shuffle because I need to get this car. I need to make the lift available, right? So I'm going to have to get my Mach 1 off the lift as well. This car needs to be able to go back to that and be lifted off so I can do all the suspension, as we all know. But along with that, that's going to free up the space where all the stuff is stored for this car. So my house garage has all those pieces and parts for this car. So once I do some shuffling, I think I have a space to put that Falcon. That's a great question, though. Great question. Richard says, how's your hand recovery coming? Yeah, that's what I was saying. Tomorrow morning, I go get 2 stitches out. It's healed over mostly, but I still can't make a fist like I want, and my finger's crooked. Like it doesn't go straight. So I have to... I'll have to work on that, figure that out. Dave says, Roger might find a car hidden in his backyard. Yeah, well, there's no hiding it in Roger's backyard. I could hide it in my backyard, but there's no place to hide it in Roger's yard. Hughes says, what's the difference between a notchback and a coupe? I've heard them both called that, and they are the same car to me. Yeah. I think it's a matter of time. Right? And what I mean by that is everything made back in the day was called a coupe if it was like a 2-door hardtop vehicle. And then as time went on, you got into the late 70s, early 80s, notchback became a thing because of the shape of the Mustangs had become that. So I think they did away. They wanted to make it sound different than saying it's a coupe, because everything's a coupe, as far as a 2-door, right? But when you start saying it's a notchback, well, that kind of gives a different vibe to it. And I think it came into play when they, again, in the late 70s, early 80s with the Fox body Mustangs. That's how that became the notchback, because they had a hatchback as well, remember? So you had a Mustang, hatchback, or notchback. Technically, they're both coupes, but you separate those based on the shape. So hatchback, notchback. That's my answer. Good question. Hope my answer made sense. Richard said you answered that question just after I type it. Yeah. Pat Attic. If you ever watched Gas Monkey Garage, Aaron Kaufman built a Falcon that looked like that and ran it on Pikes Peak. Yeah, I remember seeing him build that car. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Terry says, is it called the Joe Daddy Shuffle? No, it's actually called the Icky Shuffle. Yeah, the Icky, ICKY. And I say that because there was a, I don't know what, running back or something, played for the Bengals. Icky Woods, I think was his name. And when he scored a touchdown, he would do the Icky Shuffle. And so every time we moved something at like the body shop, if we had to move everything around, we said it's time for the Icky Shuffle. And it was that's what we would do. So it's the Icky Shuffle, not the Joe Daddy Shuffle. There you go. Now you got a Ohio connection. Roger, will fit in my shop at least temporarily while we shuffle. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I think I have a battle plan. So we'll figure it out though. One way or another, we'll figure it out. Okay. I'm getting hungry. So we're talking about food and steaks and meatloaf and all that stuff. So I'm going to go in the house and get something to eat. I've been at it for about an hour, and that's plenty long enough. As I said before, my mom is she has pancreatic cancer. She's not taking any treatments, and her time, we don't know when the time is up. But I will be making another trip to Pennsylvania to see her and family and all that, and we'll just have to see how that plays out. Right now, things are okay, but we know that won't last. So, Denny says, when I was a teen, my dad had a 6.3 panel delivery two-door. That would be cool to have today. Yeah, it would. That would be. Those are cool vehicles. Okay, so that'll be it for tonight. I do, at this point, plan to be back next Monday, and hopefully that works out. I'm able to do that. But if not, we'll just continue on from there and go to the next week. So for now, that's it. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.